We are now going to open the door for the mausoleum of Florence Foster Jenkins. All right. When we end here, you can all get pictures before I start my tour. But what we're really here for is to honor the work that Florence Foster Jenkins and her tenacity and her joie de vivre for trying so hard and giving it all she's got to be a singer of what, in music of what she loved her entire life. And we're fortunate to have with us a gentleman here from New York named Donald Cullop, who has done a documentary on Florence Foster Jenkins that was done in, what year was it, Donald? 2008 as well. So I want to introduce you to Donald Cullop, who hails from Fort Worth, Texas, where he was a gifted voice soprano. Oh, that means you can sing, right, Donald? Yeah. With the Texas Boy Choir. He studied at the Peabody Institute, where he had a double major in piano and voice, and later at the Curtis Institute, which is in Philadelphia, and Yale University. He has appeared with the opera companies of Santa Fe as a boy soprano in 1968 and in 1969, and as an apprentice in 1982 with the Opera Company of Philadelphia. He also sung with the Philadelphia Orchestra, the St. Louis Symphony, the Orchestre de Capella de Toulouse, I guess in France, right? Toulouse. Mr. Cullop's first documentary, entitled Never Before, the first New York career of Astrid Varney, premiered in 2004, and widely acclaimed by the Wagner Societies in New York, Boston, Washington, Philadelphia, Chicago, and San Francisco. Florence Foster Jenkins, A World of Her Own, is his second documentary, finished in February of 2007, and is available from Video Artists International. Buy it. He's now retired, living in New York City. Welcome, Donald Cullop.
Thank you for having me. Whenever I speak of or talk about one of the persons that we're honoring today, I always address her name as Madam Jenkins, because I have deep respect and admiration for her, for all of her contributions to charity and the musical world of her era. I also feel that the derision and ridicule that she received most of her life and after her passing, she didn't really deserve. During the first 2 decades of her life, there were a series of events that happened that formed the basis of the phenomenon that we now know today. First of all, it could be supposed that she wasn't the recipient of affection and admiration from her parents. Then, when she was 7, her little sister was born, and sibling rivalry set in. And then gradually, she became a bit distanced from her parents, emotionally and physically. But then she discovered the beauty of music, and that's how she lived her entire life, living and breathing music. And then another event that happened was when she eloped at the tender age of 14. And then after that, a very serious event when she was diagnosed with a disease that dare not speak its name, syphilis. And she had to suffer through the treatments all of her life, and the treatments were mercury and arsenic. But throughout all these events, she developed a indomitable courage, a huge sense of dedication, and dedicated, like I said, her life to music. She employed singers for her clubs, dancers, actors, orchestras, conductors, and produced one-act operas for her club. She also contributed to charities such as the Actors Fund, the Boy Scouts, the Veterans Mountain Camp, and all of these charities benefited greatly from her largesse. She also had a charity that she founded just for flowers for ill members of her club, the Verdi Club. So I really believe we should set aside the laughter and let's remember all that she did for the charities and the musical life. And let us remember not only her singing, but her gifts. Thank you.
So now I'd like to introduce Kathleen Smith, the regent of the Shawnee Fort chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. I wanted to introduce the New Jersey State Regent. Florence and her mother were members in New Jersey of the DAR, Karen Stover. She's come all the way from New Jersey to say a few words along with Florence's chapter members.
Thank you, Kathleen, and we are very pleased to be able to be here. Today we remember two members of the Daughters of the American Revolution who joined our organization over 100 years ago in 1900. The Daughters of the American Revolution, then in its infancy, was full of generous and public-spirited women who sought to uplift the citizens of this country. They championed reform of child labor laws, built schools where there were none in Appalachia, taught English to immigrants, promoted good citizenship to children, organized a corps of nurses that later became the Army Nurse Corps, and rescued and preserved for posterity places of historic interest. They spent their own money and time in doing this. Florence Foster Jenkins and her mother, Mary Hoagland Foster, were typical of the DAR member. With the gift to the Colonel Lowry chapter of Flemington Castle in Flemington, New Jersey in 1928, they made sure that we, today, could visit and appreciate that historic place. Florence embodied qualities that we can admire: civic-mindedness, generosity, and what was called the can-do spirit of the Americas. She made things happen and enabled others to do the same. Let us all come away with the aim today of doing likewise. Thank you very much.
It is an appealing thought that we who carry the present responsibilities in our society can, in a service like this, unite ourselves with the faithful workers who have laid down their tasks.
So we who serve with those who are to serve, and those whose service is now crowned.
We thank thee, Lord, for the joys of earthly companionships, for the enrichments and blessings that grow out of united service, and for these lives of our associates whose affections and interests were like our own. We give thee special thanks. We ask thy blessing upon every good influence growing out of their life, and upon every good cause with which they identified themselves. Strengthen others to carry on the work, and bind our hearts into a close understanding, comradeship with each other and with thee. Amen.
Beverly, could you join me? This is Beverly Smith, Regent of the Old White House General Freelandhusen Colonel Lowry chapter. In the name of the Shawnee Fort chapter and the Old White House General Freelandhusen, Colonel Lowry chapter, we now place these markers in memory of Mary and Florence. Thank you all for coming today.